Last week, I released my first NBA mock draft of the season. You can find that over at cbssports.com. And as you can see, Cooper Flagg, number 1, Dylan Harper in number 2, although I do think Ace Bailey is trending at number 3. Kasparas Yakachonis at 4. 5's where it got a little complicated. I put VJ Edgecombe in there, but admitted that this was the point in the draft where I thought things got a little less clear. Kon Knueppel, someone I have higher than vast majority of others. Igor Demon at 7, and then the second half of the lottery. It looks like Asa Newell at 8, Liam McNeely at 9, Trey Johnson at 10, Ben Seraph at 11, Boogie Fland, of course this was prior to his season-ending injury, at 12, Kaman Malawach at 13, and Nolan Traore at 14. Now, as I alluded to, VJ Edgecombe, he may have been 5th in that mock draft, but he hadn't had his breakout game yet. That happened on Wednesday when he dropped 30 points against Kansas State, and this was the game that everybody was waiting for. His previous high was 20, and that came back in the Bahamas against Tennessee at the end of November. His last 5 games, though, he's really taken it to a new level. He's averaging 19 points per game on 47, 41, 91 shooting, which is vastly better than his season stats. The other important thing to know, and this is care of Evan Mayakawa on Twitter, on Twitter, Baylor's defense is allowing 21 fewer points per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. Things to know about that Kansas State game that I think really resonated with scouts. He was able to get downhill. He did it a couple of different ways. First of all, he got downhill prior to the catch, so he was already accelerating when he caught the ball. They got him the ball in some quick rip situations. As the game went on and he got comfortable, he started to make threes. Again, the shooting definitely progressing in the right direction. He even made a movement 3 at the end of the game. Now, Edgecombe is listed at 6'5". I don't think anybody anticipates him to measure that way come combine time. So it's going to be imperative, if he wants to finish in the top 5, for him to prove that he is a legitimate guard and not an undersized wing. One of the other great things about this game, watching down the stretch, was some of the reads he made coming off ball screens and making different plays off the dribble. Not perfect, but a step in the right direction. So VJ Edgecombe, this was the breakout game we were waiting for. He's clearly progressing in a linear fashion, trying to play his way into the top 5. Now, the other prospect that I alluded to that I'm higher on than almost anyone else is Kon Knueppel at Duke. Now, here's why. If we've seen a trend in recent years, it's that sometimes the guards who are skilled and maybe don't have as much glaring physical upside tend to be underrated in the draft process. Think about guys like Jared McCain. Well, Kon Knueppel is a similar type guard. He's an interesting story because the last time I saw him live prior to this game at Duke was in May of his junior season. He was the leading scorer in the EYBL at that point, but following that regular season, he didn't play in Peach Jam. Then his high school team didn't play in any national event, so he went largely unwatched for the vast majority of his senior year. This year at Duke, he's been super skilled. He makes shots. He's got one of the best shot fakes in the game. He can play off dribble handoff action. He can initiate with ball screens. He, too, is listed at 6'7". I'm not sure that's going to pan out, but one of the things we've seen, he's better defensively than we thought. So he's not a high-level athlete, but he's physical. He can body up with bigger guys, and he's been a contributor on a Duke defense that's number 2 overall in the country right now. That's why I've got him higher than just about anyone else. Now, here's a sleeper for you, and it comes courtesy of our own Isaac Trotter. He talked about Nate Bittle. Nate Bittle at Oregon, player I loved in high school, didn't necessarily get off to the start he wanted early on in his college career. In fact, he missed all but 5 games last year with a broken wrist and then what was described as an illness. He's listed at 7 feet and 220 pounds. I'm not sure he's going to be quite that tall based on his high school measurements, but I do know that he's massively long and consistently measured with a +6 or +7 wingspan in high school. Right now, he's averaging just around 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. His shooting splits, 51% from the floor, 30% from the three-point line, and 81% from the free throw line. But he's taking over 3 threes per game, and a lot of them are tough pick-and-pop type movement shots. At the NBA, he's just going to have to make standstill shots. I think he can do that. And you know what else? He is a much more versatile defender than I think anyone realized. So if you're looking for a sleeper, keep an eye on Nate Bittle. But he's got a year left of eligibility, so he may be someone who has to choose between a big payday in the NIL world or a shot at the NBA this offseason. Last player I would recognize, he comes from France, and that is Noah Penda. This was a big week in France, and this guy won the MVP award at the LNB Young Star game in France after going for 18 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals. He measured at 6'6" without shoes with a very long 6'11" wingspan. Here's what you need to know about this guy. He's 6'8", 230 pounds. He just turned 20 years old. He's long. He's physical. He's generally regarded as one of the most versatile defenders in international basketball. He's good on the ball. He's exceptional off the ball. Great metrics. Also a good passer, and he's got some shooting potential. So he is a prospect that I think from the international ranks you are going to hear a lot more about in the coming weeks and months leading up to June's draft. If you're looking for more NBA draft content, you can visit us over in the CBS Sports YouTube page, the Ion College Basketball page. Every Thursday at 1 p.m., we have our NBA Draft Notebook podcast. Join myself and Kyle Boone. We're going to break it all down every week, including an in-depth look at Cooper Flagg yesterday.